Before you clicked this video, something in your spirit paused, didn't it? That subtle pull was not random. It was a summons, a whisper cutting through the noise of your day, calling your attention to something urgent, something meant specifically for you in this exact moment of your life right. Do not scroll away, my beloved, because this message did not find you by accident. It found you because heaven marked your name for this exact second, and what you are about to hear carries weight, urgency, and a truth that has been waiting for the right door to open. There is someone connected to your life, closer than you think or perhaps farther than you remember, whose time is drawing near to its final breath, and before that moment arrives, they carry something unfinished, something unspoken, something that belongs to you, like a sealed letter your soul has been waiting for, even if your mind has tried to forget it or bury it beneath daily distractions and quiet fears. Can you feel it now, that slight tightening in your chest, that sense that something is about to be revealed to you in a way you cannot ignore any longer? Listen carefully, because this is where many turn away, choosing comfort over truth, but you were not led here to remain asleep. You were led here to awaken to what has been hidden just beneath the surface of your life, where spiritual threads have been quietly weaving a story you are only now beginning to understand. This is not about fear, but it will confront fear. It is not about loss, but it will reveal what has been withheld, delayed, or misunderstood, and in that revelation, something within you will begin to shift, like a door unlocking in the dark. Right now, you stand between two states, the familiar pattern of ignoring these inner nudges, and the new path of leaning in, listening, and receiving what was meant for you all along, and this moment will decide more than you realize, because what is being delivered carries both warning and blessing within it. The person I speak of has held on to words that echo your name, words shaped by time, regret, love, or truth, and those words have reached a point where they can no longer remain silent, as if the clock itself has begun to press against their soul. And here is the part that may stir something deeper within you. You have already sensed this on some level, haven't you? In quiet moments, in passing thoughts, in dreams you almost forgot, there has been a whisper calling you to pay attention, to look again, to listen more closely. This is that moment becoming clear, and it is no longer something you can dismiss as coincidence. If you feel even a small stirring in your spirit right now, I want you to anchor yourself in it and type "I am listening," because acknowledgement opens the door for what comes next, and what comes next will begin to reveal why this urgency could not wait, why this message pressed through every distraction to reach you, and why divine protection has already been positioned around you even before you fully understood what was unfolding behind the scenes of your life until now, because in the next part, you will begin to understand why Archangel Michael himself has stepped forward at this exact moment, what he is protecting you from, and how this message is not just a warning, but the beginning of something divinely orchestrated for your protection and breakthrough ahead. As you sit with what was just revealed, allow your spirit to steady, because what you felt was not meant to overwhelm you, but to prepare you for what is now being uncovered in the light. This is where fear begins to loosen its grip, and truth steps forward with authority and clarity. In this moment, Archangel Michael draws near, not in chaos, not in confusion, but in unmistakable presence, carrying a calm that silences the noise that once clouded your thoughts. You may not see him with your eyes, but your spirit recognizes the shift, the stillness that enters when divine protection stands at your side. He does not come empty-handed. He comes with a sword of light that cuts through deception, through delay, through every unseen force that has tried to interfere with your path. That sword does not harm you, it defends you. It clears what was hidden, separates truth from illusion, and creates space for clarity to rise where confusion once lived. And in his other hand, there is a shield, radiant and unbreakable, positioned before you like a barrier between you and anything sent to weaken your faith, distract your focus, or distort your perception. This is not symbolic alone, this is active protection, already in motion, already surrounding you even before you became aware of it. You may have felt moments recently where something seemed off, where your spirit sensed tension you could not explain, where your peace was interrupted without reason. That was not your imagination, it was the subtle awareness of spiritual movement around you. But now, understand this clearly, you are not exposed, and you are not alone. Archangel Michael steps forward precisely because this moment matters. Timing in the spiritual realm is never random, and this message arriving now is evidence that something has reached a point where intervention could no longer be delayed. Where there was once uncertainty, there is now divine alignment beginning to take form. Feel the contrast within you. The fear that whispered something was wrong is now being met with the reassurance that something is being made right. The same awareness that once unsettled you is now becoming clarity, because protection has stepped in where confusion once stood. And here is the mystery that deepens this moment. This is not only about shielding you from what you cannot see, but also about guiding you towards something you have not yet fully understood. There is a message moving toward you, carried through time, through memory, through connection, and it is being guarded until the moment it reaches you in truth. Archangel Michael does not intervene without purpose. When he steps forward, it is because something significant is unfolding, something that requires both protection and revelation at the same time. You are standing in that intersection now, where unseen forces are being pushed back so that truth can come forward without obstruction. Let this settle into your spirit. You are covered, you are seen, and you are being guided through this moment with precision. What once felt uncertain is now being ordered, what once felt delayed is now being aligned, and what once felt hidden is now preparing to be revealed. But the question remains, and this is where your attention must stay focused: why now? Why has this message reached you at this exact point in time, and who is the one whose voice is pressing through the silence, trying to reach you before it is too late? In the next part, the urgency behind this will begin to unfold, and you will start to understand who is calling out to you and why their message could not wait any longer. Now that you feel the presence surrounding you, you must listen even more closely, because what comes next is not gentle in its delivery, but it is necessary for your awakening. The protection has been established, the space has been cleared, and now the truth begins to rise to the surface. There is someone whose life is approaching its final chapter, and whether you have spoken to them recently or not, whether they are near or distant, their spirit is carrying something unfinished that is tied directly to you. This is not speculation, this is the stirring you have felt without understanding why. You may try to search your mind, to identify who this could be, and that urgency you feel right now is part of the message itself. Because deep down, beneath logic and distraction, your spirit already recognizes the connection. There is a name, a face, a memory that has lingered longer than it should, and now it begins to come forward. This is where the weight of the message intensifies. This person has held on to words they did not release when they had the chance. It could be an apology left unspoken, a truth hidden out of fear, a confession delayed by pride, or even love that was never fully expressed. Time has carried those words to the edge, and now they press against the boundary of what can no longer remain unsaid. Feel the contrast here. On one side, there is silence, distance, and what appears to be closure. On the other side, there is unfinished energy, unresolved emotion, and a message still searching for its rightful place. You have been living in the space between these two realities, sensing something incomplete without fully understanding it. And here is the moment where many people turn away, because it is easier to believe that the past is settled, that what was left behind should remain there. But you were not brought here to avoid this. You were brought here to confront what still holds meaning in your life, even if it feels uncomfortable. Let this question settle into your spirit. What if the delay you have been experiencing in your own life is not just about circumstances, but about something unresolved that is still connected to you through this person? What if the heaviness you could not explain, the cycles that seem to repeat, are tied to words that were never spoken and truth that was never acknowledged? This is not meant to create fear, but awareness. Because awareness brings the opportunity for release, for understanding, and for something to finally shift. The ending of one life does not just close a chapter, sometimes it reveals what was hidden within it, and that revelation can echo into your life in ways you did not expect. There is urgency here because time is not stretching forward in the same way it once did for this person. What they carry is pressing forward, seeking a path to you, seeking a moment of connection, recognition, or even spiritual closure. And whether that message reaches you directly or through another form, you are being prepared to receive it. Pause for a moment and ask yourself honestly, who have you been thinking about lately without clear reason? Who has appeared in your thoughts, your dreams, or your memories in a way that feels different from before? This is not random. This is the beginning of recognition. But do not assume you fully understand it yet, because this is where the deeper connection begins to unfold. In the next part, you will see how this situation is not isolated to the past, but is directly connected to the challenges, delays, and emotional weight you are currently experiencing in your own life. As you hold that name, that feeling, that quiet recognition in your spirit, something begins to align, and now you are ready to see what was once hidden in plain sight. This is where confusion starts to give way to clarity, and the pieces of your life begin to form a pattern you could not fully see before. Because this is not just about someone else's ending, it is also about your present moment. The delays you have faced, the doors that refuse to open, the opportunities that slipped through your hands just when you thought they were yours, these are not random interruptions. There is a thread, subtle but real, connecting what they carried and what you have been experiencing. Think about the areas of your life that have felt unusually heavy. Finances that never seem to stabilize no matter how hard you try. Relationships that shift without warning, where trust was broken or where distance replaced closeness without explanation. Plans that once felt certain but somehow stalled, as if something unseen pressed against your progress. Now feel the contrast. On one side, your effort, your intention, your desire to move forward. On the other side, resistance, confusion, and delay that seem disproportionate to your actions. This is where many begin to doubt themselves, believing they are the problem, believing they have missed something or failed in some unseen way. But what if the weight you have been carrying is not entirely your own? There are connections in the spiritual realm that do not dissolve simply because time has passed or distance has grown. Words left unsaid, truths left buried, emotions left unresolved, they create a kind of echo, a frequency that continues to move until it finds resolution. And when your life is tied to that unresolved energy, even subtly, it can influence your path in ways you cannot logically explain. This is why certain cycles have repeated. This is why certain doors remained closed longer than they should have. Not as punishment, not as failure, but as a pause, an unseen holding pattern while something unfinished sought its moment to surface. You may remember times when everything almost worked out, when you were right at the edge of breakthrough, and then something shifted unexpectedly. A conversation changed, an opportunity disappeared, a feeling of certainty turned into hesitation. Those moments were not coincidences, they were interruptions connected to a deeper thread still in motion. And here is where clarity begins to rise. The message that is trying to reach you is not separate from your current life, it is intertwined with it. What was left unsaid carries weight, and that weight has been influencing the flow of your own journey. This realization can feel unsettling at first, because it challenges the belief that everything is within your immediate control. But it also brings relief, because it means you were not imagining the resistance. You were sensing something real, something deeper than surface circumstances. Pause here and ask yourself, where in your life have you felt blocked without clear reason? Where have you given your best and still felt held back? That is where this connection is strongest. If this is resonating with you, if something inside you is beginning to make sense in a way it never has before, I want you to acknowledge it. Comment "I see the connection," because recognition is the first step toward release, and what you acknowledge begins to lose its hidden power over you. But do not settle here, because this is only one layer of the truth. What you have experienced is not just the result of unresolved energy, there are also forces that have noticed your path, forces that have taken advantage of what was left open. And in the next part, you will begin to understand what has been working quietly behind the scenes, influencing more than you realized, and why this moment of awareness is arriving exactly when it needs to. Now that you have begun to see the thread, you must be willing to look deeper, because awareness does not end with connection, it reveals what has been moving around that connection all along. What you thought was only delay or misfortune has layers, and this is where truth becomes sharper, clearer, and yes, more intense. There has been opposition, not always visible, not always obvious, but present. Not every obstacle you faced came from circumstance alone. Some resistance carried intention, subtle but deliberate, flowing through jealousy, through unspoken resentment, through energies that did not celebrate your growth but quietly resisted it. You may not have named it this way before. You may have dismissed it as bad timing, as misunderstanding, as coincidence. But your spirit felt it. Those moments when your energy dropped suddenly after speaking with someone, when your plans lost momentum without explanation, when doubt entered your mind out of nowhere, those were not always self-generated. Feel the contrast here. On one side, your desire to rise, to move forward, to build something meaningful. On the other side, a quiet pressure pushing back, creating friction where there should have been flow. This is the nature of hidden opposition. It does not always confront you directly, it interferes, distorts, delays. And jealousy is often at its core. Not always loud, not always expressed openly, but present in subtle ways. Someone seeing your potential, your light, your path, and instead of aligning with it, resisting it internally. That resistance does not stay contained, it moves, it influences, it creates small disruptions that accumulate over time. This is not about blaming others or creating fear around people in your life. This is about understanding that not all energy around you is neutral, and not all intentions are aligned with your growth. Awareness does not isolate you, it equips you. There have also been moments where your clarity felt clouded, where decisions became harder than they should have been, where you questioned yourself in ways that did not match your usual strength. This is where spiritual interference operates, quietly, persistently, introducing confusion where there should have been direction. But here is the truth that shifts everything. Once something is seen, it begins to lose its power to operate in the same way. What was hidden relies on your unawareness. What moves in silence depends on you not recognizing its presence. Right now, you are no longer in that place of unawareness. You are seeing the pattern, feeling the contrast, recognizing that what you faced was not entirely random. And that recognition creates a shift, even if you cannot yet see the full outcome. Still, this awareness can create tension, because now you understand that there has been more at play than you once believed. And that tension is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to prepare you for what comes next. Because you are not being shown this without support. You are not being made aware of opposition without protection already being positioned. In fact, the very reason this is being revealed now is because the balance is about to change. What once operated quietly is about to be interrupted. What once delayed you is about to lose its hold. What once created confusion is about to be cleared with precision. And this is where you must stay with me, because in the next part, you will begin to feel the immediate shift, the covering that moves into place, and the protection that does not just defend you, but actively restores what has been disrupted in your life. Now that your eyes have been opened to what has been moving in the shadows, feel the shift, because this is where fear loses its authority and protection steps fully into place. You were never meant to carry the weight of that awareness alone, you were meant to be covered the moment you understood it. Archangel Michael is not distant, not observing from afar. He is present, positioned, and active around you right now, placing a shield before you that no interference can pass through without being confronted. This is not passive protection, this is intentional, precise, and already in motion. Imagine that shield for a moment, not as something fragile, but as radiant and unbreakable, formed of light that does not flicker under pressure. Every negative intention, every jealous thought, every silent attack that once moved freely is now meeting resistance it cannot overcome. What once slipped through unnoticed is now being stopped at the boundary. And in his other hand, the sword of light is not still. It is moving, cutting through cords that should not have remained attached to you, severing connections that carried weight you were never meant to bear. Where there was entanglement, there is now separation. Where there was confusion, there is now clearing. Feel the contrast within yourself. The tension that once sat in your chest begins to ease. The uncertainty that lingered in your thoughts starts to quiet. This is not imagination, this is what happens when protection replaces exposure, when covering replaces vulnerability. You may not see every detail of what is being removed, but you will begin to feel the effects. Sudden moments of peace where there was anxiety. Clarity where there was overthinking. A sense of steadiness where there was once emotional fluctuation. These are signs that the shield is not just surrounding you, but actively restoring balance. And here is something important for you to understand: this protection is not only defensive, it is also directional. Archangel Michael does not just block what is against you, he guides what is for you. As interference is removed, your path becomes clearer, your decisions become stronger, and your steps become more aligned. You are not as exposed as you once felt. You are not as alone as your fears suggested. The very awareness that brought tension is now being met with a covering that brings strength. What once made you feel uncertain is now becoming the foundation for your confidence. Take a moment right here, not out of habit, but out of recognition. If you can feel even the slightest shift, even a small sense of peace rising where there was pressure before, acknowledge it. Type 1. Am protected, because what you speak aligns your spirit with what is already being established around you. This is where many people begin to rise, because once protection is in place, fear loses its ability to control decisions. You are no longer reacting to pressure, you are responding from clarity. You are no longer being pushed back, you are being positioned forward. But protection also brings a responsibility, and this is where your next step becomes important. Because as the interference is cleared and the path opens, you will be faced with a choice, a moment where you must decide how you move forward from here. And in the next part, you will see that this is not just about being protected, but about choosing between two paths, one that keeps you in old patterns, and one that aligns you with everything now being prepared for you. Now that you feel the covering around you, this is where everything begins to sharpen into a choice. Protection has created space, but what you do with that space will determine what unfolds next. This is the moment where your path is no longer drifting, it is being defined. You are standing at a crossroads, whether you fully realized it or not. One path is familiar, shaped by patterns you have walked before. The other is new, unfamiliar, yet aligned with everything that has just been revealed to you. And the difference between them is not circumstance, it is decision. The old path is built on fear, even if it hides behind logic. It tells you to stay cautious, to expect delay, to prepare for disappointment before anything even begins. It keeps you in cycles where progress feels slow, where opportunities almost arrive but never fully land, where you protect yourself by holding back instead of stepping forward. You know this path. You have walked it in moments of doubt, in times when trust felt risky, when moving forward felt uncertain. It feels safe because it is predictable, but that safety comes with limitation. It keeps you contained within what you have already experienced. But the new path stands before you now, and it does not look the same. It requires trust where fear once spoke louder. It asks you to move when you would have waited, to believe when you would have questioned, to step forward even when every detail is not yet visible. Feel the contrast clearly. One path delays, the other accelerates. One path keeps you reacting, the other positions you to lead your own movement. One path is shaped by what has happened before, the other is shaped by what is now being aligned for you. This is not about forcing a decision in fear, it is about recognizing that the shift has already begun, and your awareness of it is part of the invitation. You are not being pushed blindly, you are being shown enough to choose with intention. There will be moments where the old voice tries to return, reminding you of past disappointments, past delays, past confusion. It will sound familiar, even convincing. But now you can recognize it for what it is, a pattern, not a prophecy. And then there is the quieter voice, the one that feels steady rather than loud, the one that says move forward, trust, remain aligned. That voice does not rush you, but it guides you. It does not create pressure, but it creates direction. Right here is where empowerment replaces indecision. You are not stuck between these paths, you are choosing between them. And the moment you choose, even internally, something begins to shift. Alignment responds to decision. Ask yourself honestly, which path have you been leaning toward without realizing it? And which path feels different, even slightly uncomfortable, but carries a sense of possibility you cannot ignore? This is where your future begins to take shape, not through chance, but through alignment. The protection around you is not just to keep you safe, it is to give you the freedom to choose without interference. And once you choose, signs will begin to appear. Confirmation will follow movement. Clarity will increase with each step you take. In the next part, you will begin to recognize those signs, the signals that show you exactly which path you are stepping into and how your decision is already beginning to shape what comes next. Now that you have felt the weight of that choice and sensed the direction opening before you, this is where doubt begins to dissolve, because alignment never moves in silence for long. When you choose, even quietly within yourself, confirmation begins to respond, and it shows up in ways that your spirit recognizes before your mind can explain. The first sign is often the most subtle, yet the most powerful. It is a sudden peace that arrives without external reason. Nothing around you may have changed yet, but something within you settles. The pressure lifts slightly, the urgency softens, and for a moment, you feel steady. That is not coincidence. That is alignment replacing inner conflict. Do not ignore that peace, because it is the foundation of everything that follows. Where fear once tried to dominate your thoughts, this peace begins to hold space instead. It is the signal that you are no longer moving against yourself, but with something greater guiding you forward. The second sign begins to appear in patterns. You may notice repeated numbers, familiar sequences showing up in unexpected places, or timing that feels too precise to dismiss. These are not meant to confuse you, they are meant to catch your attention, to remind you that you are being guided, that your steps are being seen. Then comes the third sign, and this is where things begin to feel more tangible. An unexpected message, a conversation that opens at the exact right moment, a piece of information that answers something you have been quietly asking. It may come through a person, a call, or even something you come across at just the right time. Feel the progression here, first piece, then pattern, then message. This is how confirmation builds, layer by layer, moving from internal to external, from feeling to evidence. Each step strengthens the one before it, turning doubt into recognition. And then there is a fourth sign, one that many overlook because it does not always feel dramatic. It is the shift in how you respond. Situations that once triggered anxiety begin to feel manageable. Decisions that once felt overwhelming begin to feel clear. This is the internal transformation that proves something has already changed. Contrast this with the old pattern. Before, confusion lingered, doubt repeated itself, and clarity felt distant. Now, even if everything is not fully visible yet, you begin to feel guided rather than lost, aware rather than uncertain. Pay attention to these signs, not with fear, but with awareness. You are not searching desperately for proof, you are noticing what is already unfolding around you. And the more you notice, the clearer the pattern becomes. When you begin to see these signs, when that peace arrives, when those patterns repeat, when that message finds its way to you, I want you to acknowledge it. Comment it's happening, not as a routine response, but as a declaration that you recognize what is unfolding in your life. Because recognition strengthens alignment. What you acknowledge, you allow to expand. What you notice, you begin to trust. But do not assume this is where it ends, because these signs are not just confirmation of your path, they are also triggers for something deeper. As alignment increases, changes will begin to ripple through areas of your life you did not expect. And in the next part, you will begin to see how these signs lead to shifts in your relationships, where some connections will fall away, and others will begin to align in ways that reflect the new path you have chosen. As those signs begin to unfold around you, the shift will not remain contained within your inner world. It will move outward, touching the relationships that have been part of your journey. This is where alignment becomes visible, and for many, this is also where the process feels the most emotional. Because not every connection is meant to continue into the version of you that is now emerging. You may begin to notice subtle changes at first. Conversations that once flowed easily may start to feel strained or distant. The energy you once shared with certain people may no longer feel the same. This is not something you are imagining, it is the natural result of your alignment shifting. Feel the contrast here. Before, you may have adjusted yourself to maintain certain relationships, staying quiet when something felt off, overlooking what did not sit right within your spirit. Now, there is less tolerance for misalignment. Not out of judgment, but out of clarity. And with that clarity comes truth. Some truths will be revealed gently, through small realizations and quiet understanding. Others may come more directly, through conversations, actions, or moments that make it impossible to ignore what was once hidden. This can feel uncomfortable, even painful, because it challenges what you believed was stable. This is where grief can surface. Not just for people, but for expectations, for the way things used to feel, for the version of connection you thought would continue unchanged. Allow that feeling to move through you without resistance. It does not mean something has gone wrong. It means something real is being acknowledged. Separation, in this context, is not loss in the way fear defines it. It is alignment in motion. What is no longer in harmony with your path begins to fall away, not as punishment, but as preparation. The space that opens is not empty, it is being cleared for something that matches where you are now being led. You may also notice that as certain connections shift or fade, others begin to emerge. New conversations, new people, new moments of connection that feel different, lighter, clearer, more aligned with your direction. These are not replacements, they are reflections of your movement. Contrast the old with the new. Where there was confusion, there is now understanding. Where there was imbalance, there is now mutual energy. Where there was uncertainty, there is now a sense of ease that does not need to be forced. This does not mean every shift will be immediate or dramatic. Some changes will unfold gradually, allowing you to process, to adjust, to see clearly before moving forward. But once you recognize the pattern, you will not be able to unsee it. And this is where acceptance begins to replace resistance. You are not losing what was meant for you. You are releasing what no longer aligns so that what is meant for you can fully enter your life. The space being created is intentional, even if it feels unfamiliar. Stay present in this process. Do not rush to hold on to what is shifting, and do not fear what is opening. You are being guided through each step with precision. Because these relationship changes are not the final outcome, they are preparation. And in the next part, you will begin to see how this clearing creates an opening for something unexpected, a breakthrough that begins to move into your life with a speed and clarity you did not anticipate. As those shifts settle and space opens around you, this is where something begins to move, not slowly, not uncertainly, but with a momentum that feels different from anything you have experienced before. What once felt delayed is no longer standing still, it is preparing to accelerate. You have known what it feels like to wait, to push forward only to feel resistance, to invest your energy and see little return. That season was real, and it tested your patience, your belief, your endurance. But it was not permanent. It was positioning. Now feel the contrast. Where there was stagnation, there is movement. Where there was confusion, there is clarity beginning to rise. Where doors once seemed sealed, you will begin to notice openings appearing in ways you did not expect. This is what happens when alignment meets timing. Breakthrough does not always arrive gradually. Sometimes it comes as a sudden shift, a moment where things begin to fall into place faster than you anticipated. Opportunities that once felt out of reach begin to move closer. Conversations begin to open doors. Ideas begin to connect in ways that create direction instead of doubt. You may notice changes in areas that have weighed on you the most. Finances that felt tight may begin to show signs of relief, not all at once, but enough to signal movement. Decisions that once felt overwhelming may suddenly feel clear, as if the answer was there all along, waiting for the right moment to be seen. This is not random improvement, this is acceleration after delay. And here is the micro moment you must not miss. When things begin to move, your instinct may try to question it, to slow it down, to wonder if it will last. That is the echo of the old path, the voice shaped by past delays. But this time is different. You are not stepping into something unprepared. Everything you have gone through has built the foundation for this movement. What felt like waiting was also strengthening, refining, aligning you for what is now ready to unfold. Feel the shift from frustration to anticipation. You are no longer asking when something will change, you are beginning to see that change is already in motion. This is your moment to respond differently. Instead of hesitating, you lean in. Instead of doubting, you allow yourself to trust the movement. Because the more you align with it, the more clearly it unfolds. If you feel ready to step into this acceleration, not perfectly, but intentionally, acknowledge it. Type 1. Choose trust over fear, because your words anchor your direction, and your direction shapes what you receive. What is opening now is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to move you forward. But even as this breakthrough begins, there is still one layer that must be understood, something that ties everything together, from the message you sensed at the beginning to the movement you are now stepping into. And in the next part, that final insight will come into focus, revealing what has been waiting to reach you all along and why it matters more than you realized. Now that you have felt the shift, seen the movement, and sensed the alignment unfolding in your life, this is where everything comes together. The message that has been pressing forward, the one that carried urgency from the very beginning, is now ready to be received in full. This is not just about them. It has always been about what needed to reach you. The person whose life is nearing its end has carried something in their heart that time could not erase. Whether distance grew between you, whether words were left unsaid, whether the connection changed or faded, there has always been a thread that remained unbroken beneath it all. And what they needed to tell you is this. There was truth they did not speak when they should have. There were moments they held back, out of fear, out of pride, out of uncertainty. They may have misunderstood you, or you may have misunderstood them. But beneath all of it, there was something real that was never fully expressed. For some of you, this message carries the weight of an apology. Not always spoken aloud, but deeply felt. A recognition that something could have been handled differently, that something important was left unresolved. For others, it carries love. A love that was present but not fully shown, a connection that meant more than was ever revealed in words. That love did not disappear, it remained, even in silence. And for some, there is also truth, a truth that may change how you see the past. Something hidden, something misunderstood, something that, if known sooner, might have shifted everything. That truth is not meant to disturb you, but to free you from carrying questions that were never yours to hold alone. Feel what this brings up within you, because this is where the tension begins to release. You may feel emotion rising, memories returning, understanding forming in a way it never has before. Let it move through you. This is not about reopening wounds, it is about closing what was left incomplete. The message, at its core, is not complicated. It is human. It is real. It is this. Do not carry what was never meant to stay unresolved. Do not hold on to confusion when clarity is now being offered. Do not let the silence of the past define the movement of your future. What they could not say then is reaching you now in a different way, but it still carries the same purpose, to bring understanding, to bring release, to allow you to move forward without the weight of what was left behind. And here is the deeper layer, the one that ties everything together. This message was not only for closure. It was also preparation. Because as you release what was held in the past, you create space for what is now entering your life. The breakthrough you felt beginning is not separate from this moment, it is connected to it. What you let go of here allows what is meant for you to fully arrive. Take a breath and feel the shift. Something has just settled within you. And as this message completes its purpose, we move into the final moment together, where everything is sealed, where what has been revealed is anchored, and where you step forward with clarity, protection, and peace. Now that everything has been revealed, felt, and understood, allow yourself to become still for a moment, because this is where it all settles into place. You are no longer standing in confusion, no longer reaching for clarity that felt distant. You are standing in awareness, in understanding, and most importantly, in alignment with what has been unfolding around you. This is the moment where uncertainty gives way to peace. Take a breath, slowly and intentionally, and feel the shift within you. What once felt heavy now begins to lift. What once felt unclear now carries direction. This is not something outside of you, this is something being anchored within you right now. Let us seal this together. Heavenly Father, we come into this moment with open hearts, aware of your presence and the guidance that has led us here. Surround this soul with peace that surpasses understanding. Let every word that was meant for them settle deeply, bringing clarity where there was confusion and comfort where there was tension. Archangel Michael, we acknowledge your presence, your protection, and your unwavering covering. We ask that your shield remains strong around them, guarding their mind, their heart, and their path. Let every negative influence be blocked, every hidden interference be removed, and every step they take be guided with precision. Cut away what no longer belongs. Release what has been carried for too long. Clear every remaining thread that holds them back from fully stepping into alignment. And in that clearing, bring restoration. Restore their sense of peace. Restore their confidence. Restore their ability to trust without fear controlling their decisions. Let them feel supported, not just in this moment, but in every moment that follows. Let clarity remain steady. When doubt tries to return, let it be met with truth. When fear attempts to rise, let it be replaced with assurance. When uncertainty appears, let it dissolve in the presence of alignment. This is not just a moment of reflection. This is a moment of activation. What has been revealed is now becoming part of their path. What has been understood is now shaping their direction. And what has been released is making space for what is meant to arrive. Bless the work of their hands. Guide their decisions. Open the doors that are aligned and close those that are not without confusion or delay. Let their path be marked by clarity, not hesitation. And as breakthrough begins to unfold, let them recognize it without fear, without resistance, but with readiness. Let them receive what is coming with confidence, knowing they have been prepared for it. You are not where you were. You are not carrying what you once carried. You are not moving in the same direction without awareness. Something has shifted, and that shift is real. Hold on to that. Return to it when your mind tries to question what your spirit already knows. Return to this moment when distractions attempt to pull you away from what has been anchored within you. You are protected. You are guided. You are aligned. And as you move forward, do not keep this light to yourself. Share it. Let others who are searching, who are questioning, who are feeling what you once felt, find their way to this same clarity. If this message has spoken to you, if you have felt its truth settle within you, stay connected to this alignment. Subscribe, not just as a routine action, but as a way of remaining open to the guidance that continues to flow. And if you know someone who needs this, someone who may be carrying confusion, fear, or unanswered questions, share this message with them. You are not just receiving light, you are also becoming a channel for it. Now, seal this moment. Not out of habit, but out of intention. Type Amen, and let that be your declaration that you receive this message, that you accept the protection, that you trust the alignment, and that you are ready to move forward with clarity and peace. Let that word anchor everything that has been spoken here today. Because this is not the end of something. This is the beginning of a new alignment, a new clarity, and a new movement in your life. And from this moment forward, you walk differently.